Bom, pessoal, estamos aqui na Gamescom Latam, agora na Clipsoft. Nós vamos conversar com os criadores do Persist Online. Eles vieram aqui trazer esse jogo que vem depois de 27 anos, é um novo projeto deles. And that's why I'm going to switch to English so I can talk to them. So my first question is, Persist Online is a new project after so many years. How it has been for you guys to come out and say, hey, we got a new game, and how the community are responding to this new project?
Right. So there were two things that made us create the game. So first of all, Tibia, our first game, it's very old. It's from 1997. It's one of the first MMOs that was out there, and it's still very, very big. It's been very successful the last few years. But as a company, you want to have a second game that also contributes to the revenue. So we've been working on multiple projects over the years, and most of them weren't a big success. And so we kind of had the idea to return to our roots and create a hardcore PC MMO again. And that kind of happened shortly before the pandemic. I was talking to a colleague of mine, Tom, and we decided to start a spare time project after work and create an MMO together, just two people. And then the pandemic hit, and we had a lot of time because there were lockdowns. So we managed to create a prototype in 1.5 years, and we pitched it to the company, and they really liked the idea and thought that it has potential. And so we staffed up a team, we worked on it full time, and now there are 14 people working on the game.
Sure, and Tibia is 27 years old, and we know that it's one of the most famous RPGs, and we know that there are some younger audience that doesn't know Tibia. How are you guys planning to capture these guys and these people that are not familiar with Tibia or your other projects, and how it is for you guys to achieve that audience that maybe doesn't know what Tibia is?
Right. So for Persist, it's it's a fresh game. It's 3D. It's got newer graphics. But it is a fully fledged MMO, and it has the same core DNA as Tibia. And for us, it's something that we feel is happening in the industry, and where we think that people will be interested in is a lot of the newer games take the player by the hand, lead them through the world, tell them what to do, when to do, and then reward them for doing exactly that. And we believe in a different gaming experience because that's how we grew up, and that's what Tibia is, and also Persist is that you make your choices and you experience the game world at your pacing and where you want to go and what you want to do in that world. And a lot is up to your imagination. And we think that is something that is missing in modern games, and we want to bring that back again. And I think that a lot of people, also younger audiences, can resonate with that.
Sure, and Persist Online is about survival in a hostile environment. So what are the choices made to create this sensation of unease and challenge, but at the same time without punishing too much new players, and how it is to balance that sense of adventure, of survival, without making too easy so people on level 1 can just parade through the challenges?
Yes. So the game has like a ring system, so there where you start, in the start location in the stronghold of the first faction, PvP is off there. And then the first zombies and mutants you will encounter are easier, and they, for instance, won't apply debuffs or other effects on your character. But the further out you venture into the world, the more dangerous it will become, and the more difficult the monsters will be, and the more effects will be applied and combined onto your character. So you can learn step by step by going one street further and having a look what will happen. And the same applies for PvP, basically. So the good loot is further out, right? So stronger players will be venturing further out into the world, and they will not be bothering low-level players. They obviously, you can, right? But you will be punished in the game. So that's another thing that Persist and Tibia have in common. You can make good and bad choices, and the game will allow you to do that. You'll have to suffer some consequences. So if I kill too many players, my karma will go negative. I actually will not respawn at the same location anymore. I will respawn at an outlaw stronghold where there's an own quest hub and stuff you can do there. And factions that have good karma will shoot me on sight. So when I try to return to the original location, the guards will actually shoot at me. Right, so there are lots of mechanics in there that we think will balance that. And obviously, you will have to adjust for things in the gameplay when you see that players are abusing it or they're pushing it too hard on new players and things. But I think we've got the experience from Tibia over 27 years how to do that. So we'll try to apply that, and we'll also stick closely to the community and talk to them about this.
Sure, and we know that survival genre is really popping off. It's been for a long time already, and it's the online and the survivability is a big trend in gaming right now. How can you guys assure that Persist Online is going to be more than the others and going to reach out to more audience than the others? Because we know that survival is a huge genre right now, and how you guys are going to launch out for that?
Yeah, so survival is a big genre, but Persist Online is not a survival game. And it's not a shooter, it is an MMO. And I think that is the unique selling point of the game, actually. So most of these games are session-based, and Persist Online is not. It's a persistent game world that stays there when you log out and you log in again. It's the same thing, right? And what I do in the world will make a difference. It depends where I stand, it's important. And there are multiple hundreds of players on the same game world playing there. So that's the big difference that you can see towards the survival games. But this persistence also brings a few things that have to be different. So in survival games, or like games like Valheim or things like that, you can do certain things because you're playing with your friends. So if we want to break the game world, have fun, it's our server, right? Now you can't do that when there are hundreds of players there at the same time. So there are a few restrictions that come from that, and that made it quite difficult to design these things. But I think we found a good sweet spot, what the players can change in the world and where the effect will be, versus it would have to be instance as wise.
Sure, and I think that when we talk about zombies, we talk about fortifications and ways to defend yourself. How big are going to be the impacts, to construct your bunker, you have your base, how is that going to affect your game? And you mentioned already about strongholds, and I know that it's going to be a guild system that you guys are putting, but I'm going to ask something because I'm a bit of a lone wolf on MMOs, and sometimes I don't want to mess with guilds, there's too much drama, too much beef, and sometimes you lose some friends about it. Yes. So I want to know if that there is a way to enjoy Persist Online, like end game content, without being entangled with guilds and stuff like that.
Yes, definitely. I mean, every MMO caters for different player types, and I think it's important that you can play alone and have fun, because not everybody wants to play, the guild play every time he logs in. You also have to grind up your character. You're doing lots of different things in the game, and not everyone is just PvPing the whole time. You sort of switch in your mood and how I feel today, and so the game will cater for these things. And there's things that it's you want to partner up with other people. You can have parties and just play loosely without a real objective. There are also things in the guild. So we have quests that go active, but everybody just participates on their own way. So there might be something like kill a certain amount of zombies in this area. So all you would need to do to contribute is go in that area and kill zombies. You don't have to team up with your guild to do that. But there's you can do the whole exploration thing. I think that's something where Steve can add something.
Yeah, no, I wanted to add that the game gives you a lot of freedom, just like Tibia. You set your own objectives, and you can decide what you want to do in the game and what you want to achieve. You can level up your skills. You can be a really powerful player who's good in PvP. But for example, myself, I'm an explorer type of gamer. I love exploring everything in the world, and Persist Online features a really large virtual world with every building can be entered and every floor can be entered, and you can walk everywhere and discover many great things. Everything in the game is handcrafted, so the team of Ben put a lot of detail everywhere, a lot of love everywhere. There's much to discover, and I think that's awesome.
And I'm going to vouch for that. I think exploration is a big thing on gaming, and sometimes we miss that because we are dealing with other stuff. But since you already mentioned exploration seems to be a big part of what Persist Online do, and what can offer for the players, and with no real classes for the characters, how they can explore this freedom, because we know that is a kind of, when I say survival, it's not just because it's the genre, but you need to survive. So how it is to create a system that allows player to, gather a bunch of skills to have to pass through the challenges, and how to make that without being too much of a broken system in the game.
Right, so what we do is that the initial leveling up is quite fast. Right, so it slows down later on, but the beginning is quite quick. So it's easy to get your first skills, and we've got 250 skills altogether over separate skill trees with active and passive skills. And then we've got the item system as well. You can have multiple characters, so you can specialize with each character where you want to. And we don't have classes. So you can't choose, I'm going to be like a warrior or whatever. But you actually build the character with the items and the skills, how it suits your gameplay. So if you love shotguns, and I do, you can specialize in that, and you can choose the matching skills and the matching items to have the setup that you want, and then play that way.
Sure, and we know that the game is going to have a day and night system, and from what I read about it, you guys are planning to, which map going to be some adversities, with the rain, and sometimes we're going to have a swamp, so yes, it's going to be difficult to go around. How it is to come with those ideas, because we know that sometimes when we are brainstorming, stuff just clicks, and how it was the process, and how it was for you guys, because we know that Persist Online is kind of a passion project for yours, because you started on the pandemic, and just the way you wanted an MMO. So how it is to just go have fun and create this kind of things so everyone can enjoy.
Yes, actually a lot of features were added because Tom or I had fun. We were sitting there, and then someone said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could have day, night, and full weather cycle, and that would have an effect in the game? And then we talk about it. So that is our design philosophy. We actually do not write a big game design document, but we talk about a feature until we both have an understanding, or the team now, have an understanding about what we're trying to build and what we're trying to achieve with it, and then we build it. Then we try it out, we iterate it. If it's good, it stays in. If not, we throw it out. And the weather system was one. I've got a nice example as well. So our ocean has a tide, so it goes up and down. And that was quite easy to implement. It was not a lot of code, but what it does is, and that's gameplay-wise, that's the interesting thing, it gives you accessibility to certain areas. So if the tide is in, I can easily reach an island, I can climb up and I can access it. If it's out, I might be able to go into a cave system that otherwise I would have to dive in. So it gives interesting gameplay choices at certain times of the day that if you know these things and you explore them, you can use them for your advantage.
Sure, and other thing that I want to talk to you guys, it's about when you said about those little things that you guys make to make the game more welcoming, and at the same time it doesn't lose the challenge. I want to know how it is to, after all this time, go back to the basics of creating something from scratch, because we know that sometimes development goes through a lot of problems. Sometimes the project goes and doesn't pay off, or sometimes the time frame is not exactly. So how you was to go out there and just get back to building a game from scratch?
It's always difficult. There's no game that is built easily. So every game is a challenge, and especially MMOs are, because when you start an MMO, you have to know that you're in for a marathon. It's not like you can sit there and you say, and we're going to be finished, because it's never finished. So you have to know that, you have to have that mindset, and you have to know that it's going to be a long, hard way, and there will be days that are really difficult and things will not work. And there are going to be days that are great because you made progress and something is working. And that goes through the whole development cycle. So I think what was really important for us was that we started creating the game, and we had a playable version very early, and we just added on things to that version. So you could always see things that were happening and try them out, and that was a lot of fun. And we also made our process of creating the game something that we like to do. So as I said, we didn't have a game design document where everything was completely written down in detail, but we left room for having fun while developing as well.
Sure.
Can I add something? So, like we said, we went back to our roots with creating a new MMORPG, but not only in the sense of that it's again an MMORPG, but also we have now a team again, some people who spend their spare time in the beginning to create something really unique they really believe in, and I think we really feel that this time with Ben and Tom we have some team members, core team members, who really know what they want to achieve, and I think that makes a big difference.
Keeping the vision of the game intact is something really difficult, and it's very natural. So what happened is at the beginning, I told you that we had created the prototype. So a lot of the gameplay and our idea was there already, and it wasn't until we actually got other members to join us. So a lot of the game was there already. So what happens if when the team gets bigger, there are more opinions, there are more voices, and people want to add things that they like. And it makes it difficult to keep the vision intact of the game. So, for instance, Tom is a very hardcore online gamer, and he'll spend hours and hours grinding and stuff like that, right? So he can spend a lot of time doing that. I've got a family, I can't do that anymore, right? So I have a few other priorities, but so if you get new team members, they bring in different playstyles, and we are creating a hardcore game. So a new team member might come in and say, "Hey, but can't we add this feature because I like that?" And you have to defend the vision, and you have to say, "I understand where you're coming from," and sometimes a compromise is a good solution, right? But sometimes it's also good to say, "No, we're not going to add this because it will dilute the actual vision of the game and being a hardcore game."
Sure. And to top it all off, I'm gonna talk to you guys about because you guys have a huge fan base in Brazil. Your work here is like unanimous for everyone who plays games. We have here with us a huge Tibia player, and I'm gonna ask you guys about how it is to come here and showcase the game in Brazil, because we have here a really passionate fan base, and I want to know how it is important for you guys to come here and feel this type of excitement from people that plays games from Clipsoft like a lot, and throughout the years I know people that went into college and they would bond because of that, and it's something that's truly amazing for this longevity and how it is to come here and feel this.
Yeah, so we're really excited about being here, and we had so much nice conversations with people from here. Everyone is very welcoming and cheerful, and we had so much nice stories about people playing Tibia as a teenager or for many years. And some people told us they're in the gaming industry because of Tibia. So we are really grateful and thankful for all the fans in Brazil. So nós amamos o Brasil. We're really grateful. So thank you for playing Tibia, and thank you for playing our games.
It actually feels quite unreal for us, right? So in Germany, where we're from, hardly nobody knows us. So when Tibia is there are not many players in Germany that play it. And when we come over here, we were talking to a few people from the industry, and Gamescom Latam gave us the great opportunity to show the trailer of Persist Online in the trailer show, and that was really an honor to come here and do it here. And they were telling us, like, guys, you do know that you're like Rockstars here, and we went like, it feels very unreal. And for us, when we grew up, we had idols that we looked up to and that inspired us. So for us, it's Richard Garriott with the Ultima series, and when we meet him, our knees get weak, and we stand in front of him and we go, "Oh wow, well this is Richard Garriott, right?" And so now we're experiencing the same thing with players from here that stand here and tell us that our game has inspired them so much that a lot of people learned English through Tibia, or met people and married, and that it has changed so many lives, and it's it makes you really humble and very happy that we have a game that is so influential.
Sure, thanks a lot, guys, for your time. It was a really blast. I'm a little bit nervous, so I'm sorry about it, because it's not every time you meet your heroes from your childhood, so it's something really important. I'm gonna speak now and finish in Portuguese. Bom, pessoal, é isso. Espero que vocês tenham gostado da entrevista. E para mais notícias de games, esportes e cultura pop, você continua aqui na Game Arena. Valeu!